What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Behave yourselves!
Hello YouTubers out there, this is Jerry Sadavia the Movies. So before I proceed with my review, I just want to give a shout out to Mark Anthony Brownlee. I've been reading this book now for, well, a little over 6 to 7 months because it's a long book and I was doing things in between. I try to read something all the way through if I read a book. Sometimes it's not easy, but I'm working on it, so I don't always get distracted. The book is called Resurrected. New book by Mark Anthony Brownlee. And I'll set up the link. This book is absolutely worth it. It's a hard novel. He's written a few. Somebody I know who lives in Ohio and is a Wes Craven fan, like a major Wes Craven fan. In fact, there's a documentary, I think, on Tubi and elsewhere called Fred Heads, which has to do with Freddy Krueger fans. So, but anyway, I'll set up a link for this book. If you're interested, it's worth buying. It's terrific. It's over 700 pages long. It's written as a script novel, which is an interesting approach. Apparently he's written this way, I think, before, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely worth reading. Absolutely. Just absolutely terrific novel is all I could say. And yeah, this is the villainous of the piece, sort of a spectral spirit, an evil spirit. I'm not going to say much more. Get this book and support local artists or those who, you know, are not exactly selling books left and right like Stephen King or other authors, particularly of horror. So, but this is definitely worth seeing. So, or reading. So, get this. Resurrected. And I did get 2 new subscribers, so that's pretty good. So there you go. That's what I got to say about that. So let's talk about this movie. Well, it's not a movie per se. It's a British TV show called Urban Myths, and it's called Orson Welles in Norwich. The actual title is F for Fakenham. This was recorded on my DVR, and I checked it out. I didn't know anything about this particular show, but I didn't know it was part of a show. So I look at it, it says Orson Welles in Norwich. Never heard of this before. And I'm looking at the picture, and I thought for sure, and if you look at it, it really looks like Orson Welles. Well, in fact, that's actually Robbie Coltrane. And it was the last role that he had played before he passed on in 2020. So he plays Orson Welles, and he is absolutely fantastic. This is a nice little episode. It's about 25 minutes long. The name of the actual show is called Urban Myths. It's a British biographical comedy drama TV series, and it first aired in 2017 on the Sky Arts. And each episode features something having to do with an anecdote of some kind surrounding popular culture and loosely based on a true story. So they did one on Muhammad Ali talking a man down from a ledge, which was of course true, but I guess they played with the truth a little bit. And Bob Dylan turning up on a stranger's doorstep in London. And I think they stopped airing the show in 2020. Now the show did face some controversy because they had Joseph Fiennes, of all people. This is Ralph Fiennes' brother, playing the role of Michael Jackson. You might have heard about this back in 2018, and the episode was pulled from transmission. Not sure why they cast Joseph Fiennes, but okay, whatever, you know. So anyway, Orson Welles in Norwich. Coltrane plays Welles, and this is around the time that he was working on F for Fake. Now, the story is, of course, completely untrue, but that doesn't matter. F for Fake is one of the greatest films he ever made back in 1973. And that's a film that deals with art, the nature of art, and the fakery of art, and what's artifice versus what's real. It's a fascinating film. Anyway, he had worked on, at this time, on the Great Mysteries TV series, and the show was apparently the most expensive British television series of 1973, and they utilized many American stars in the film, aside from Orson Welles. Anyway, in this story, he's asked to go to East Anglia, which is east of England, to Norfolk, to this little, looks like a little rundown, well, not completely, but somewhat cheap TV studio, when in fact it really wasn't that at all, but nonetheless, he's going to be narrating this show, The Great Mysteries. And he's being directed by a woman who is also the weather forecaster. So he's not really keen on taking direction from anybody, particularly somebody who's not really known for directing, but nonetheless. And what happens is that Orson Welles, I guess he can't really stand doing the show, but he decides, first of all, he goes missing is what happens. And they can't find him. And then it turns out that he's supposedly being held by these terrorists, when in fact it's all fake. What he's trying to do is get money, like a ransom, to keep working on his film F for Fake, which, you know, as you know, at that time, Orson Welles had always been working on films, independent films, getting money from whatever source he could get to finish and complete many of his pictures. Anyway, this of course was not really the case, but nonetheless in real life. And then they think that the best thing to do is to bring in Burt Reynolds to get Welles back to the studio, or whatever the case may be. But anyway, what I like about this little 25-minute film is that it's actually rather funny, and some of it is a bit toothless, but overall I enjoyed watching it. I think it was Robbie Coltrane who really made it sing. He was just absolutely uncanny. The last person I ever expected to play Orson Welles. Craig Ferguson also appears in this episode, and it was just a lot of fun to see it. And at first I had no idea what this was, and to be honest with you, with the first shot of the film, which basically sort of reenacts a couple of scenes from F for Fake, at first I thought it was a real Orson Welles. So it was really, and then I was taken back, like, oh, wait a minute, maybe this isn't really him, but it fooled me at first. So it's worth seeing. I never heard of the show Urban Myths. I'm curious to see some more of the episodes. So, but if you like Orson Welles and you're a fan of Orson Welles, and particularly during his 1970s period, when he had been working on a lot of projects, some not fully realized, others were, but few and far in between, this is definitely worth checking out. So that's what I got to say about that. I enjoyed it overall. Orson Welles in Norwich. It fooled me at first, is all I can tell you. So anyway, that's all I got to say about that. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell for further uploads whenever they come. And I guess that's about it. And this is Jerry Sadovia at the Movies, signing off.